Maine, the 2024 election plunged into even greater chaos on Thursday, with a different constitutional life, becoming the second put-out state to go to the polls. Trump removed from the ballot due to criminals at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, the move by Maine's assistant clerk, following a series of Colorado Supreme Court decisions earlier this month, deepens Trump's growing crisis campaign and strengthens the U.S. Supreme Court's case for the issue stemming from the 14th UK's rebel ban. This has already added to the chaos surrounding the elections and may further exacerbate the problem of division. Growing uncertainty requires urgent resolution as Iowa prepares to begin voting in the Republican primary race on January 15, and different voting rules are heard. Maine Secretary of State Shauna Bellows, a Democrat, paused her decision pending possible appeals in state court, which Trump's team has said it intends to file. The decision came the same day Trump's rising New Hampshire rival Nikki Haley tried to stop her gaffe on slavery from turning into a momentum killer. The idea that a presidential candidate can't outright state in 2023 that human enslavement is what tore the country apart more than 160 years ago is mind-boggling in itself, but surrounding the former South Carolina president less than 3 weeks before voting begins is also weakening the grip on Trump, who is defying gravity with political policies that have sparked many more scandals and outrages, many of them fueling denial of the 2020 election behind his handling of the legal revelations. Maine's decision only adds to the unprecedented legal and political landscape surrounding the 2024 election campaign, all tied to Trump's refusal to concede defeat and his historic challenge to a classic U.S. power shift. After all, it has now been revealed that the former president was involved in insurrections against the U.S. government, an unheard of state of affairs at any other point in history. But the controversy also raises new questions about whether Trump's attempt on January 6 was justified in terms of protecting American democracy from a uniquely damaging challenge, or whether it could backfire politically against President Joe Biden and Democrats next fall. Trump's multiple criminal charges tend to boost his popularity among base voters, even as his wildly anti-democratic behavior in 2020 could become a major liability in the general election. Republican presidential candidate Chris Christie said at a CNN conference this morning that actions like those in Colorado and Maine made the former president a martyr. While this may be, people may think that this is an excuse. In our democracy it is not good. At the end of the day, Trump must be defeated by voters at the polls and defeated by someone like me who is willing to tell the truth about him, he said. In her position, Bellows wrote that the circumstances were so outlandish that the Constitution left her no choice but disaster at the hands of the Republican frontrunner. I did not come to this conclusion lightly, Bellows said. The sanctification of democracy. I realize that no Secretary of State has ever denied a presidential candidate access to the ballot in the lower third section of the 14th of Brazil. However, I also recognize that no presidential candidate has ever participated in an insurrection before. Trump's team lashed out. The former president has a responsibility to protect the very base, fundamental American privilege he tried to destroy 3 years ago, the right of voters to elect their president. We are witnessing in real time an attempt to rig the election and disenfranchise a presidential voter, the Trump campaign said in a statement. Democrats in blue states are recklessly and unconstitutionally suspending the civil rights of American voters, continuing the pattern of disasters of getting President Trump's name off the ballot. This statement is highly ironic since Trump is still denying the results of the 2020 election, demonstrating his attempt to disenfranchise voters, including in key states that voted for Biden. Trump's false claims of voter fraud have been rejected by the courts and denigrated by his administration. But that hasn't stopped him from putting them at the center of his 2024 campaign, which has become an indictment of Biden for the very wrongdoing he commits, Trump's election interference.